Hi, Session 5, Unit 3, Administering Selection Interviews. At the end of this session, we should be able to state and describe any three ways by which interview can be administered. Explain administrative arrangements for conducting interviews. List and explain any three problems associated with interviews. Forms of interview administration. We have one-on-one. Here there is an interviewer and there's an interviewee. So they sit one on one. One sits opposite the other, and the person asks the interviewer whether structured as per the types that we learned in session 4. The types of interview. Based on the type of the interview, the person is asked the questions. But for group or mass, group of mass is for a group of candidates, if you remember what we said earlier. Okay. And we have the panel interview. The panel interview is done by a group of interviewers where each interviewer will take turn to ask an interviewee a question. Then we have electronic, which is done by a computer. It could be written, oral, or visual. These are the forms of interview administration that an employer may take towards interview job applicants. We have questions asked in interviews, and they may include applicant's background, an applicant's experience, education and skills, work attitude, knowledge related to the work that you are applying for, and any other necessary question. Any other necessary question, either be it structured or unstructured, depending how you carry the interview to go. Administrative arrangements for interviews. It is important that the time and venue for an interview is communicated to the interviewees and the interviewer. So time and venues should be communicated to persons involved in the interview, to the interviewee, to the interviewer. Notify interviewers of the time and venue. Schedule to plan the interview. So after you have notified the interviewers of the time and venue, now you have to do a trial something. So here, you and the interviewers, the organization interviewers will do some small scenario interview to see how they are going to throw the questions to the interviewees when they come. You notify interviewees of the time and the venue. You notify the receptionist, the security, and other relevant person or persons whom are expected to know about the interview, on who to expect and where to direct them to when the interviewers and the interviewees report for the interview on the day of the interview. You have to also arrange for beverages or lunch based on the time on the interview. If some people are reporting at dawn, at least you should provide some beverage for them. If the interview is going to start in the afternoon, or maybe let's say early morning, so beverage, if it's going to go deep down in the afternoon, then you know that at least the beverage should be provided for the interviewer and the interviewee, but the morning batch would go. If it's going into the afternoon, you need to provide what lunch for the interviewers who are still going to be there to interview the interviewees. And also, if you are interviewing for a top position, at least nothing at all. If it's top management, any top management position, you should provide some snacks, some beverages. Do you get it? For the interviewer and the interviewee. In that scenario, it will be more relaxed for the interviewer and the interview, because the interviewer will be taking a sip of Coke, the interviewee will also be taking a sip of Coke or whatever that you've served them. Then the expectations of the interviewers or the interviewee, people will come for an interview and they would be expecting that, okay, last year when we came, they served us Coke. So they'll be expecting something. Or when they go to a similar organization to do interview, they serve them something. So based on their expectations, you know whether you are serving them something or not. Here we are going to look at common problems with interviews. First, the halo effect. This is when one feature of an interviewee becomes an overriding factor. So here they are going to look at one particular feature of you and probably keep poking you, asking you questions, and that takes a different direction from what the interview should be focused on. Secondly, prejudice is when we favor a person because they are aligned with a particular group or they probably remind you of someone. So based on how you see the person, you're biased towards the person. Maybe you see someone, the person is beautiful, then you're like, oh, this person, since she's a beautiful person, she can be the receptionist. That is if your vacancy, job vacancy is for a receptionist. Then you see the person, because of the person's beauty, you say, okay, she can work better at the receptionist post, and it shouldn't be so. Stereotype. Stereotypes here involves two um, scenes of stereotyping. So the first one is when you say a good worker stereotype. You see a person, you see a person's portfolio, you see a person's probably places that the person has worked, and you conclude that, oh, since he's worked with this person, since he's worked in this organization, he's going to be a good employee, as compared to someone who probably has little experience, but if employed could do better than a person who has worked with big names and big companies. Then the second one is a physical trait stereotype. The assumption is you meet people from different tribe, you don't like them. Or secondly, you meet someone who is short, then you say, because he's short, he may have quick temper, so I don't want to work with the person. And that is what we call stereotyping. So you stereotype based on a person's physical traits or the good worker stereotyping. Then the last one is unfavorable information, also known as the Horn effect. Sometimes when organizations screen personnel during the stages of screening, when they have some information about a particular person that is applying for the job, that information could harbor all other good deeds the person has done. So they are going to stick to that bad information. Maybe this person went to whistleblow. When we say whistleblowing, maybe you went to say something to impede maybe a top management official, maybe sexual harassment. Then you were the one who went to tell the HR that this man has been sexually harassing someone. So it became that you are the one who went to whistleblow. So with that information, people may not want to employ you, even though you are a very good candidate and can effectively deliver on the job. We are at the end of the session, and I believe we've learned about the forms of interviews. We've also identified the measures to put in place for a pending interview, and we've also learned about the problems that could occur in an interview. See you in the last session.